Kindness is the music of goodwill to men, and on this half of the smallest fingers in the world may placed heaven's sweetest tune on earth. Kindness is one of the purest traits that find a place in the human heart. It gives us friend whoever we may change to wander, whether we dwell with the savage tips of the forest or with civilized races. Kindness is a language understood by the formal as well as the latter. It influence never cases started one. It flows onward like the little mountain, revealed in a pure and encouraging stream. To show kindness, it is not necessary to give large sum of money or to perform some wonderful deed that will immortalize your name. It is the teardrop with the mother as she weeps over the bier of her departed child. It is the word of sympathy to the discouraged and disheartened, the cup of cold water and the slice of bread to the hungry one. Kindness makes sunshine where it goes. It fills its way into hidden chamber of the heart and bring forth golden treasure which harshness would have sealed up forever. Kindness makes the mother's lullaby sweeter than the song of the lark, and tender the care on brows of the father, and men of business less severe in its impression. It is the water of life to the laborer who straightway forget his weariness, born of the burness and heat of the day. Kindness is the real law of life, the link that connects earth with heavens. The true philosopher's stones, for all it touches, it turns into virgin gold. The true gold, whether with the purchase, contentment, peace, and love, would you live in the remembrance of others after you shall have passed away. Write your name on the tablet of their hearts by acts of kindness, love, and mercy. Kindness is an emotion of which we taught never to feel ashamed, graceful, especially in youth. Is the tear of sympathy and the heart that melt at the toll of food. We should not permit easy and indulgence to contract our affection and wrap us up in a selfish enjoyment, but we should accompany ourselves to think of the distress of human life and how to really them. Think of the solitary cottage, the dying parents, and the weeping child. A tender-hearted and compassionate disposition, which include men to pity and to feel the misfortunate of other as its own, is of all disposition the most able, and though it may not receive much honor, is worthy of the highest. Kindness is the very principle of love and emanation of the earth, which softness and greatness, and should be inculcated and encouraged in all our intercourses with our fellow beings. Kindness does not consist in gift but in gentleness and generosity of spirit. Men may give their money which comes from their purse and withhold their kindness which comes from the heart. The kindness which displays itself in giving money does not amount to much and often does quite as much harm as good. But the kindness of true sympathy, of thoughtful help, is never without beneficial result. The good temper that display itself in kindness must not be confused with passive goodness. It is not by an indifference but largely sympathetic. It does not characterize the lowest but the highest classes of society. True kindness cherishes and effectively promotes all reasonable instrumentalities for doing practical good in its own time and looking into futurity. Sees the same spirit working on for the eventual elevation and happiness of the race. It is the kindly disposed men who are the active men of the world, while the selfish and the spectacle who have no love but for themselves are its idols. How easy it is for one benevolent being to diffuse pleasure around him, and how truly is one for heart a foundation of greatness, making everything in its vicinity to freshen into a smile. Its effect on stained nature it like the spring rain which melt the icy covering of the earth and cause it to open to the beams of heaven. In the intercourses of social life, it is by little acts of watchful kindness, recurring daily and hourly, and opportunities of doing kindness is sought for are constantly starting up. It is by words, by tones, by gestures, by looks that affection sit on and preserved. He who neglects that trifles yet boasts that whenever a great sacrifice is called for, he shall be ready to make it. Will rarely beloved the likelihood it is will not make it, and if he does, it will be much rather for his own sake than for his neighbor's. Life is made up not of great sacrifices of duties, but of little things in which smiles and kindness and small obligations given habitually are what win and preserve the and secure comfort. The little unremembered act of kindness and of love are the best portion of a good man's life. Those little nameless acts which manifest themselves by tender and affectionate look and little kind act of affection do much to increase the happiness of life. Little kindness are great ones. They drive away sadness and cheer up the soul beyond all common appreciation. They are centers of influence over others which may accomplish much good. When such kindness are administered in the time of need, they are like apple of a good in pictures of silver. All will be long remembered. A word of kindness in a desperate state is a welcome as the smile of an angel, and a helpful hand grabs it worth 100-fold its cost, for it may have received for all future the most kindly thing on earth, the mood of a man. It should not discourage us if our kindness is unacknowledged. It has its influence still. Good and earthly conduct may meet with unearthly or ungrateful return, but the absence of gratitude on the part of the receiver cannot destroy the self-approbation with recompense the giver. The seed of courtesy and kindness may be scattered around with so little trouble and expense that it seems strange that more do not endeavor to spread them abroad. Could they but know the inward peace which requires the giver for a kindly act, even through coldly received by the one to be benefited, they would not hesitate to let the kindly feeling talent in us all have to expression kindly if folk are not lost. Some of them will inevitably fall on good ground and grow up into benevolence in the mind of other, and all of them will bear fruits of happiness in the bosom whence they spring. It is better never to receive a kindness than not to be bestowed on. Not to return a benefit is the greatest sin, but not to confer it is earlier. The noblest revenge we can take upon our enemies is to do them a kindness, to return malice for malice of and injury for injury will afford but temporary gratification to our patient, and our enemy will only be rendered more and much bitter against us. But to take to the first opportunity of showing how superior we are to doing them by doing them a kindness or by rendering them a service, it is only the nobler way, but the sting of reproach will enter deeply into their soul, and while unto us it will be noble relatives, our dreams will not unfrequently be rendered complete not only by beating out the malice that had otherwise stood against us, but by bringing repentant heart to offer themselves at the sharing of friendship. A more glorious victory cannot be gained over another man than this, that when injury began on his part, the kindness should begin on ours. The tongue of kindness is full of pity, love, and comfort. It speaks a word of comfort to the desponding, a word of encouragement to the faint-hearted, of sympathy to the wearied, of consolation to the dying, urged on by a benevolent heart. It loves to cheer, console, and invigorate the sons and daughters of sorrow. Kind words do not cost much, they never blister the tongue of lips, and no mental trouble ever arises therefrom. Be not saving of kind words and pleasing acts, for such a fragrant gift, whose perfume will gladden the heart and sweeten the life of all who hear or receive them. Word of kindness 50 spoken are indeed both precious and beautiful. They are worth much and cost little. Kind words are like the breath of the dew upon the tender plants, falling gently upon the drooping heart, refreshing it withered, tendering and shooting its whose bright ashes are they in life great deserve. Who can estimate the pangs they have alleviated, or the good works they have accomplished long after they are uttered? Do they reverberate in the soul inner chamber, and like hollow sweet strains of music they serve to appeal to memory of bitterness or of personal wrong, to lead to heart to the sooner birth of life? And when the heart is sad and like a broken harp, the chord of pleasure ceases to vibrate, the peculiarly acceptable then are kind words from other. Who can rightly estimate the ultimate effect of one kind of 50 spoken? One little word of tenderness gazing in upon soul will sweep long neglected chord and awaken the most present strain. Kind words are like jewels is the heart, never to be forgotten, but perhaps to share by their money alone. Set life, while words of cruelty are like That is the bosom wooding living scar that will be borne to the grave by leaving the victim. Speak kindly in the morning. It lightens all the cars of the day and make the household and other affair move along more smoothly. Speak kindly at night, for it be that before dawn some loved ones may finish his or her space of life, and it will be too late to ask forgiveness. Speak kindly at all times. It encourages the downcast, cheer the sorrowing, and very likely awaken the earning the earnest resolve to better with his friends to keep them always leave home with kind word, for they may be the last kind of are the bring flower on earthly existence which use them, and especially around the preside circle. They are jewels beyond price and powerful to heal the wounded heart and make the weight down spirit glad.